right, welcome. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late. I was just having a conversation with Joe. Very exciting conversation, by the way. So let's see. I'm just getting in. Had a wicked good day. So I want to get my phone on charge just in case. 8:05, 5 minutes late. Sorry about that. Since I received my certification last Saturday, I've been thinking quite a bit about things like that, like being late. It's unacceptable. So I'm sorry about that. Things change. They just change. Like my new glasses, I am surprised that I have kept them on all this time. It just really surprises me. And when I come out in the morning, as soon as I put them on and I look out the window, it's like, so this looks like it's going to be a thing. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a thing. I think they make me look younger and more sophisticated. What do you think? All right, well, today's date, for posterity's sake, February 25th, 2025. I'm Mark, your host, coming to you from Baker's Green Acres, BGA. This show was certified by International Homesteading and will be carried on some very major platforms. So I'm prepared for that. So this is the Anyone Can Farm Experience live chat, where we talk about homesteading, small farms, and just plain living. Kind of intentional living. Let's see. We got Restream with us. Never miss a comment. Click on a chat message to display it on the screen. That's a new person. Keith's with us. Dave Duncan. So the big news around here is my youngest daughter, Rachel, is going to be getting married this coming Saturday. So creates a little bit of turbulence, I'd say. We're all supportive of this union, but it's kind of strange to think like we won't have her here. It's just kind of weird. Yeah, the other kids, when they've left, it's been under a myriad of circumstances that they have left, whether going in the military or just moving out, or like Kyle, he got an apartment downtown, and that was a little strange for me. So, and Joe went to a school down in Ohio to learn how to be a welder. So every time it's a little different. But this time, I think what we're looking at is no kids in the home. Jim and Frank are still with us. Frank's 13, Jim's 15. So we got some time there. But actually, this is the first time where we're at a place where one of our children leaving is going to leave us with a deficit of manpower, right? Rachel milks Wednesdays and Fridays. Last Friday was her last milking with me, and she's training for to be a midwife, and it's pretty rigorous training, actually. I was really surprised. You don't just get certified, to be a licensed midwife. You don't just get certified by like a BGA certification. It's different. She could have probably certified through me, but she decided that she wouldn't. I don't know why. Because I've delivered babies, so I could probably set her straight on stuff. But anyway, she's working real hard at her new trade. I'm quite impressed that I suggested that, and she took the bait. She took it and ran with it, and she's doing really, really well. I mean, she portrays confidence and um, what else? Uh, Sense of urgency, I guess, and I think she's going to be a very good midwife. I really do. She's dependable and she's reliable and she's nice, and calming. I think she'll be a very good midwife. So I'm really happy with what she's doing. I've got mixed emotions about her leaving the home, though. And there's nothing I can do about it. But okay, good. Intentional homesteading's with us. All right. So I'm a new man. I'm a certified. Actually, I'm authorized to certify. I've been certified for quite a while myself through International Homesteaders Association. And so it was Saturday when I was, a little bit of ceremony and, trumpets and stuff playing, and I was awarded, and, I took pictures, shaking hands and all that stuff. It was quite a day. I'll never forget it. I'll just never forget it. So that's new. That's different. I was actually at the gas station yesterday. True story. when everybody says, "Hey, true story," it's like, all right. I was at the gas station yesterday, minding my own business, just putting gas in my pickup truck, and a lady leaned over like this, and she says, "Congratulations." And I'd never seen her before, not that I can remember anyway. And I said, "Oh, yeah, on your certification." I said, "Oh, yeah, thank you very much. It was a big day. It's a big day." Mm-hmm. So anyway, that really happened. I'm not kidding. That really happened. So I think we got a bigger footprint than we know. And it kind of, that train of thought, I made a video on on Sunday, and it was very tongue in cheek, right? And there's just a little bit of mockery there, but I'm going to keep running with it because I think it's good. It's healthy for people to think about things like certified. I think it's good for people to think about that. And I'm not going to run too far with it because what's the point? Our business, we live and die here by the products that leave here, by what we produce and what leaves, and in its place are dollars. Not always dollars. I do a fair amount of bartering and trading and stuff like that. But, to run in this society of men that we live in, we have to, like the gasoline that I got yesterday, I have to pay for that with dollars. It'd be kind of cool if I could pay for it with eggs or something, but that's just not the way it is. I do think that there is room for that on a bigger scale, and I'm doing my part. So I built a store on our farm, and we were just talking about this because we did a little bit of construction in the store. And before I came up here, I sat there for 5 minutes, and I just imagined what could be, unburdened by what has been, actually. And I started to see it taking shape. And I can see just a really nice thing. But when we look in the rear view mirror, that's my way of looking behind us, what has been. We see, I can explain this a million different ways. But if you drive around this county, you see barns, big red barns. And I never knew this until getting to know Aaron Esch, the barn geek. But I think in 5 minutes of conversation with him last summer, I think it was Tribe Day. I'm pretty sure it was Tribe Day. He tied the whole thing together for me. So he told me, no, this is a dairy barn. And I never even questioned, what kind of barn is this? What kind of barn is this? I don't know. Do you ask that question? I never asked that question. It's just a barn. But he said, no, this is a dairy barn. And it's designed a certain way to do a certain function. And he got into how air moves through the barn and why it's designed the way it is and all that. And our barn, just to fill in the gaps here, it's designed to milk the cows in the basement. That's where we milk them now. But for years, we milked them on the top part of the barn because we didn't know any better. Here's a good place. Milk the cows right here. And that was just me thinking. But when we were informed about why they did it the way they did it, oh, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. So now we're doing it the way they did it. Of course, we had to do renovations to bring it back to the place where it was even functional. And we're there now. We've got the milk house built. It's functional. Water works. You know, everything that we need there is right there. And the milk parlor is in. It's working well. It's not complete, but the lights are in and the stanchions are in. The cows have their routine. They come in, they get their treats, they get milked. We pull the stanchions open and they go back out because they want to go back up to the hay bale, you know, and they have their routine. They have their routine. They have their life, and they give us milk every day. And then the milk goes across the driveway into the store. And I have this list of people, nice, beautiful people, wonderful, the best people. And they come in the driveway, they stop, they come in the store, they get their milk. A lot of times we talk. A lot of times they show up at the same time and they talk. And the store, I see it at some point to be sort of a little meeting area. And it'll also be the area when we do our classes where we will feed everybody. So we'll set up the round tables and, you know, we'll be in there eating and people will come in and get their milk and, hey, how you know, and so, and it's just coming together and it's really cool. And like, I don't know if this is the age of enlightenment, it's hitting me hard because all of a sudden I'm tying things together. I'm connecting the dots on on our lives and our work and our products leaving, and it all just works, and it's nice and fun, and it's a beautiful thing. Healthy people, nice people, the best people, and a nice group of friends that I've come to know through this whole thing, which is really the icing on the cake. It really is the icing on the cake. Because, you know, without that, what do you have? I don't know, go to Disneyland? I don't know. You don't know anybody there. Oh, we got scared on a ride or something like that. Or we ate elephant ears or something. I don't know. This is better. I think it's better. And it's continuing to round out. It's continuing to round out. Like with Rachel leaving, there was a really great guy that came here for a milk share, and I got talking with him, and so what do you do? You know, what do you know? And he's like, I'm really interested in this. So, well, I need a guy to open bread. You interested? Yeah. So I trade him dollars for his time. He's opening bread, got a smile on his face, happy guy. And hey, you want to You want to work in the butcher shop today? Yeah, he says. And he's just happy as a clam in there, busy learning things. And it makes me feel good because now we have a team member. And so I texted him today. He works on Wednesdays and Fridays. And I texted him today and I said, we want to get you started on milking tomorrow. Can you be here at 9? I got 2 words. Yes, sir. And he's happy to do it. Happy to do it because there's a future in it. And I want to help him, see a future in this. And there's things that I can do for him, living situation wise, and just developing himself as a man, a functional man. I can help him with that. So it's a good thing. A lot of good is coming from it. And I think that tonight's show is titled Farm Secrets, but that's kind of tongue in cheek too. I was talking with somebody the other day, somebody I really like. I've never met this person, but we've talked on the phone quite a bit, and our friendship goes way back to when we were having our lawsuit with the state over the pigs. And, it was a person that's another farmer in a different state, West Coast, and just called and said, hey, this sucks what's going on. You ever think of doing this? And, I had a lot of people doing that to me, and it's hard to sort out. But the advice was good, but it was not tested. It was not tested. It was theory at the time. They are doing a very similar process to us. The main thing that they do is milk, but then they have a store on the farm and so on and so on. But actually, I don't know if they have a store, to be honest with you. But I know that they load up their truck and they go into town and they have drops, places where they go. And there's people that come to their farm and gets milk too. So anyway, I was talking on the phone, and I was talking with the wife, so the she, and she was telling me about a technique that she's developed. I've actually interviewed them, so I might as well tell you who they are. It's Helios Farms. It's in Oregon. And we interviewed them on here. Her husband is the guy that wrote the book Buttercup and Me, which is an outstanding book. Every time I talk to her, I say, I need more of those books. But I didn't do that because it's just a phenomenal book about raw milk and why it's so life-changing for people. And she was telling me about a way that she's developed of making pickles with whey. With whey. And whey is after you make butter. Well, that would be whey. I'm not exactly sure because I don't do that. Maybe somebody can tell me what whey is here. But whey is, you can make pickles in whey pickles. And then she was saying, yeah, and we went a step further than that, and we're using it as a fermentation agent in sausage, and on and on and on. And I'm writing this stuff down, like, we got to look into this. This is cool stuff. And she said, and I've heard people say this before, oh, I'm sharing all my secrets. And it wasn't said in a bad way. It wasn't. It was just, but I got a flag on it because years ago, someone came here and, we were talking, like, we were doing well with the farm, I guess, and they weren't doing so good. And she really wanted to. She was working off farm. Her husband's working on, but they wanted to do well. And so I started to say, yeah, this is how I do this. This is how I do this. And she says, boy, you're sharing all your secrets. And when I heard that, I started to key on that in the small farms community. And people were actually holding things back, things that they discovered, and they were keeping them like secrets because they discovered how to do something, and they figured if somebody else got a hold of that, then they would do it, and they would. Another word that was said a lot, and I heard this from an Amish guy, he said, step on your toes. And this particular Amish guy had a farm. He's long gone. But when I first got here and I had told a guy that I met what I wanted to do, he says, oh, well, you need to talk to this guy. You need to talk to this guy. He's got it figured out. And I went over there, and I didn't see anything too great. You know, I thought I was going to be walking onto just some really lined out place, and it didn't seem too great. And at one point he said, he called me and he said, hey, I'm thinking about opening up a custom chicken processing. He says, but I don't want to step on your toes, he said. And I said, that's free country. I don't, you can if you want. I mean, I'm not. And so he did. And that was when I first started to see this thing that is kind of part of the small farms community that I think just needs to be pushed on the floor and ditched. So, okay, for instance, chicken butchering. If somebody comes into the neighborhood and they can do it better than we do, and they're willing to do it, they can have it. They can have it. And I will go on to the next thing. I'm not in love with chicken butchering. It's something that we do. We make pretty good money at it, or we wouldn't do it. But it's a lot of hard work. It involves a lot of people, labor, and I have my children, and they're all well-trained and hard workers. And so I'm able to do it, right? All right, just me's with us. But if somebody comes along and they have a slicker system and they can do it cheaper, then take it. You can take it away from me. But what we've found is people think they can do it and they'll start it up, but then they don't have the longevity to keep it going. We've got the system and we've got the people, and we've tweaked it enough times and made it better, fortified it so it works better and it's less time consuming, and you get a better product rolling out. If people aren't happy with what you're doing, then they don't come back. And so I think what we need to do, and what I do, and I'm not going to say we need to change this. There ought to be a law changing this. No, there needs to be competition in the workplace. If there was an Amish guy that moved in over here less than a mile from my house. And I remember he came over here one time and he was like, yeah, I just thought I'd introduce myself. And he said to me, I'd like to start butchering, and I'd like to buy your business from you. And like, I don't know about this, like, how can you do that? I just couldn't wrap my head around what he was saying. What? You buy me out of it for $1,000, but we're making, 5 times, 10 times that in a summer. How could we do that? And how could you possibly make that up, butchering chickens with you and your wife and 2 little kids? So it didn't go anywhere, but still the conversation was had. And then he right over here at chicken butchering, and there was incidents that happened. There was things that happened. He also raised some blue tick hounds or something, and I could hear him. He's a ways away, but I could hear those stupid things at night. And anyway, one of them got out and killed somebody's. It was another person that we know. Actually, Jill worked on their dairy for a while as the calf feeder. And so we kind of knew them. We've butchered their chickens for a lot of years. And the Amish moved in and they can do it cheaper. And of course, this family was Dutch. And around here, Dutch people, it's like another word for cheap, right? Like Dutch treat, right? And they're always looking to pinch pennies. And so they went to them, and one of his dogs wiped out all their chickens. And I don't know whatever came of it, but she's back. She comes to us now again. And so I don't know. There was a couple of disasters that happened over there, and I was over there one time, and I was looking around, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, you've heard me say that cleanliness is overrated, but grossness is not overrated. So it was pretty gross. It was real gross. And anyway, so I think when people went in there and saw that, they were turned off by it. But what I think we need to push on the ground right now is this idea of secrets. We should, I'm not going to tell you guys what to do, but what I am doing is I share freely how we do these processes. And it's never bit me. It's never come back to bite me. Like, oh, I never should have shared it with that guy. And I've got examples of people right here in this chat that we've said, no, you go ahead, you do it, and they live fairly close to us, like within an hour and a half. It doesn't hurt my business. And if like say for instance, Homestead Hog Harvest, which I think this is going to be our 14th or 15th year doing it. If somebody can do it better than us, cheaper than us, and they can draw our crowd away from us, you got it. I'll do something else. I'll go on to the next thing because I got a list of things to do, and they've done well with it, and I'm pleased to see that. I'm actually I'm flattered. Actually, I feel like really good. Oh, I'll give you another example. Sean Kelly, Crunchy Mama Homestead. I've told you this story before. I ran into him and his wife Amy at the Rogue Food Conference, the only one that I was ever invited to. They don't invite me back now, but I was there and I met them, and Sean said that, yeah, my parents live in Michigan. I said, oh, great, stop by sometime. And then the next summer, he called me and said, I want to stop by. Great. So they stopped by. I didn't really remember who he was until I saw them. And we did a walk around quick. And he says, well, we're really interested in butchering. And I said, too bad you weren't here yesterday. I could have put you to work. And he said, we'd be interested in that. I said, well, you could come back Friday because we got another big day of chicken butchering. They said, okay. And they showed up, had their boots on and ready to go. We put aprons on them and turned them loose. And I think it was at lunchtime. I will never forget this. There's a lot of things about Sean Kelly I will never forget. But he's looking at his wife and he's doing this. I think we can do this. And they did. He went back to they live in Texas, and they went back there, built a shop, big one. And he went to work for a butcher down there, learned the trade. And now he's doing classes, I think it looks like every month on beef butchering and hog butchering, and I don't know if they do chickens or not, but it looks like it, from what I see, it looks like it's a winner. And they've moved their home from in town to the farm, and it looks great. We've been there a couple of times, and I want to go there again. We just need a good reason to go there. So I'm flattered with that, and so I guess my message tonight is don't hold back. There are so many processes in this, and if somebody comes along and they want to compete with you, that's good. That's good. There's so many people in this country. You know, just in my town alone, it's not my town, but my town is like a bedroom town for Cadillac. Cadillac's got 10 or 12,000 people that live there. It's a manufacturing town, and there's a bunch of stuff going on there. And it's growing, which is good. Of those 10,000 people, there's 50 people that get milk from us, maybe 50. So that leaves a lot of people. And I would say, there's no way I can know, but I'd say it's probably in the 90 percentile or 95 percentile of people that have never even heard of Baker's Green Acres. And they don't even know that they want raw milk, you know. But if there's another dairy that goes in someplace close by, I actually talked to some people on Sunday that are trying to build a dairy. They actually have a dairy, but they only have 2 cows right now, and he still works off the farm. She stays home, takes care of the kids. Kids, nice people, hard workers. I would love for them to really go for it. And when they were here, I was saying, no, this is what you do. This is what's working for me. And I want them to succeed. They're in their mid-20s. You know, there's a future in this for people. But the secrets thing and the stepping on toes thing, I don't think there's a lot to that, honestly. I'll give you another example, another Amish family over here. Good family, but they have that mentality that they've got to capture a process from somebody, and then we can do it cheaper. That's where I got that from. We can do it cheaper. And we were doing pretty good with our chicken business. You know, we were running 30 chicken tractors, and we had a distributor at the time in Traverse City, Cherry Capital Foods, that we were selling to, and they were taking everything we could produce, and then they distributed it from there. And it seemed like a good way to go when I first started. But as things progressed, I got increasingly unhappy with the arrangement. And they were getting pushy as far as wanting to see a copy of my insurance policy, and, you know, wanting to have a third party certifier to come in and certify us. Crazy. And they were moving towards more of the machine, you know, like the Gordon food machine. But their shtick was, it's all locally produced stuff. Good shtick. But they weren't providing, well, they're long out of business now. They're gone. And they had a big facility. They threw a ton of money at it. But anyway, I quit them, and we started doing our own distribution. And at that time, we were MDA inspected, which they never inspected. They inspected one time, but then every year I'd have to pay them for a license just to do it. And it was all through the mail. I mean, I was sending them a check and they would send me a little piece of paper that said license on it. And without that, I couldn't sell to any of the restaurants or the retail stores. And you start looking at the numbers. By the time you pay for the license and then you give the restaurants the product at wholesale, and the restaurants are always saying, well, I can get it from Gordon Food for this. Why should I pay you that? And there was always that struggle. And then restaurants, you got to love them, but they would take 12 chickens a week, just what they needed to get through to the next week, and never more. And they didn't have freezers, and they were startups too. So there was just a lot of growing pains there, and we were losing money. So it finally ended, but not because of the business arrangement was not good. It ended because we won our court case against the state of Michigan, and because we had a license, now they could get payback. And so they started leaning on our different customers, and our customers dropped us one after another. So it seemed like a bad thing at the time, but it actually turned out to be a good thing because, and I share this willingly, I don't want to do business with a restaurant because I don't want to sell to them at wholesale. And they're not willing to send one of their employees down here to get it. They want me to take it to them, but they don't really want to pay for that, right? So I don't want to do business with restaurants anymore. And plus, they have a license, and they are required per their licensing agreement to do business with only farms that are licensed. So to me, it's racketeering is what it is, because they're not providing any real oversight or any value. They're just collecting money from us. Anyway, but I don't care. I mean, it's not like I'm going to talk to President Trump about this. I'm probably not. It's just we're going to opt out of it and sell directly to our customers. And I love my customers, but the customers at the restaurant, I never even knew who my customers were. There was a degree of separation, which is not good. My customers like me, and they feel as though I'm doing something for their family. And especially mothers, most of our customers are stay-at-home moms. I think probably all of them are. And I think that's the way it should be. That's the traditional family that works and worked for a long time. I don't see where both parents working out of the home and the kids being in some sort of daycare. I don't see where that's a good idea. There's too many flaws in that scenario. I don't like it. We tried it. Jill worked full time, and we had 2 kids that were in a daycare. And at some point, it was just like, this doesn't work. And so Jill came home, and she had more work to do at home than working at the hospital. Like, it's a lot more work to run a household than it is to just go punch a clock at the hospital and do whatever they want you to do. She's a occupational therapist. And so she came home, and that worked out real good. And she's been home ever since. And I would never want her to go back out to work. There's too much to do here, too much meaningful work to do here. If we were going to trade her for dollars, it would have to be a lot of dollars. And no, not interested. But anyway, our customers, mothers, um, their primary job is the health and welfare of their children. Um, and when they feel as though, and it's not just a feeling, there's an edge. They gain an edge when they are feeding their children clean food. There's a huge edge to it. And if you're the guy that's producing that food, oh, they need you. You're an integral part of that chain. So they really need you. Whereas if there's a degree of separation, your customers don't even know who you are. They have no idea. When a chicken arrives on a plate and they eat that chicken, hey, this is good chicken. They don't associate it with Baker's Green Acres. So I'm not interested in that at all anymore. And I share that pretty openly. Yeah, so the secrets, I don't think that's good. I think that's actually counterproductive. I think that as a community, we need to be getting better all the time. Just like my fields need to be getting better. Every season, they need to be getting better. And with the system that's been handed to me, if I just work it per the instructions, I don't know if it's instructions. You got to know the system, and you got to know what works. And if you work it per that, it does get better every year. The grass gets thicker, the cows get healthier, there's more milk, there's more species of grass that are coming up because we're grazing the cattle. We're getting healthier because we're learning the system. We're part of the system. It's part of us. The whole thing gets better every single year. I'm happier with the system. I'm prouder of the system. It just gets better every year. And there can be a bad year, but the bad year isn't because, well, there's a market fluctuation and the Chinese have flooded the market with eggs. So it's a bad, that doesn't affect me. I'm not part of that system, the restaurant doesn't want to pay this much for grass-fed beef because now Gordon Foods is carrying grass-fed beef at 40% cheaper than what they can't. I'm not part of their system, so it's irrelevant what it costs at Gordon Food Supply, right? And I think that is the word irrelevant is part of this system, is part of this conversation too, because it comes up all the time where you have an organization like the Department of Agriculture that likes to be relevant to what we are doing. And so they try to gain relevance in this whole thing. And that's one of the things that we have to understand, is that they are not relevant to what we're doing because we don't have a contract with them. We don't work for them. They don't have access to our private property at all. So how are they relevant? They can put a blast out there over, bird flu's coming and you got to take these precautions. And they can say whatever they want, but I don't have to receive it and I don't have to act on it. They can, raw milk is dangerous and they love to say all that could happen to you. But if you don't bite on that, it's irrelevant. I really don't want anything to happen to raw milk the way it is. I don't want there to be some blast that comes out. Raw milk is now legal in the state of Michigan. I don't want to hear that. I'd rather it the way it is right now, where there's this rumor that goes around that raw milk is illegal in Michigan. How absurd is that? They do have a little law. It's a little short one. It says the sale of raw milk to the end user is illegal. Okay. How many people have been prosecuted? None. Why is that? How come the state police aren't here? I've got raw milk and people are leaving money and taking it away. We call it a herd share. But I think they could argue in a court of law that if he's handing milk to people and they're leaving money, he is selling raw milk. I think they could make that argument. But why don't they? Why don't they? Well, the reason is because raw milk is not a controlled substance. So it'd be like, can you imagine if they said sale of hay to the end user is illegal? Well, that would mean hay would have to be a controlled substance. Sale of crack cocaine to the end user is, but it's a controlled substance. So even possessing crack cocaine, you could be arrested for that because it is illegal. It's an illegal substance. It's a controlled substance. So that has to be, in people's mind, and they have to understand it so they don't get gripped with fear when they enter into an enterprise like milking cows and selling raw milk or doing herd shares. I got distracted for a minute. I can't multitask. I got to get in touch with my feminine side in order to multitask, actually read the comments and keep my thoughts straight. So let's see. Fear is part of it, and we have to share the reality of that so that people can get over their fear. Fear is a great motivator. And the only times people use fear is when they are at their last straw, like they've run out of everything else. You don't hear like the state police putting out bulletins and stuff. Rob a bank, go to jail for 25 years. Armed robbery. They don't because they don't need to. They have what they need in order to keep people from robbing banks. If we catch you, we put the cuffs on you, you're in the back of a blue cruiser, and you are going to jail, right? If that was the case with the business that we're in, the food business, then we would see a lot of people getting picked up by the state police. State police would be cruising up and down the road here. I'm gonna pull this car over, see if they got any raw milk in there, right? You'd see people going down the road and throwing raw milk out the window if they got pulled over by the state police. That's not the way it is, but you would think that's how it is. When you mentioned something about raw milk on different forums and stuff, you have people chiming in. I don't want to see you in jail, Mark. I don't want to see them take your farm away from you. What? So we have to share these things. And it's just like our processes. If somebody is going to milk cows and they're going to set up a herd share, the smart thing to do is get with somebody that's already doing it so they can tell you things. What things? Secrets. I have secrets that I'm not going to tell you. I want you to use the wrong caps for your milk jars. Maybe that way one of your customers will get sick and die, and then their family will come to your farm and buy milk. No, I don't want that. How stupid is that? If there's a caution, I want to tell these people, you know, I did this and it didn't work out so good. I don't want you to do it. And when we do that as a community of people, we get stronger. We draw in better people, smarter people, harder working people, intelligent people, maybe people from other career fields that say, I don't know how to do. Perfect example. I don't know how to make a sticker to go on my milk cap on the jar lids. I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't even know where to start to do that. I really wouldn't. It's not kind of my thing. But Susan Greaves' daughter, she's a graphic artist. And she said, I can help you with that. All I need to know is the dimensions. She picked out the material. She even designed our logo, right? That wonderful logo that she designed. I could have never done that. And so that is an improvement on our process that makes our product go out the door looking a little better. And I owe her for that. And we've done work together, we've done some work there and helped out with some things. And, so and I don't hide any of my secrets from fellow cow milkers like Susan Greaves. So, yeah, that's a train of thought that I think we really need, that I want to develop more. And, there's been times doing this sit down on Tuesday nights where I thought, who cares? Nobody cares. And what's the point? I don't make money doing it. But something inside me says, well, I gain pleasure from it. And usually the things that I gain pleasure from, or I don't know if it's pleasure, if that's the word, the warm fuzzies, I guess, it's usually an indication that there's good in it and it's worth doing, Like I could be, what could I be doing for this hour on Tuesday nights or 2 hours, whatever it turns out to be? I could be continuing to work down in the barn. I could be. And then, but I shouldn't be, I shouldn't be. There's a balance. You can work too much and you pay the next day. I like to keep it this much work, this much fun with my family and doing the things that I need to do here. So, yeah, I think that this show will continue, and we'll continue to share secrets, how to do this even more, because I don't share enough. I don't share the intricacies, and I need to share the intricacies. Like, it's really easy for me to criticize somebody that can't do something. It's really easy to do that, but I don't get the warm fuzzies from doing that. What about I take 10 minutes and show somebody how to do it? How about that? That's a way better way to go. And we war game this enterprise every single day, me and Jill, whether it's intentional, we're going to sit down and talk about some stuff, or we're both wandering out from sleeping and sitting by the wood stove and drinking a cup of coffee and talking about, oh, I got to do this today. And do you think we should be doing that or whatever? And everything really begins there. I try not to think up something and just do it unless it's a small thing, or it's a component of something that my team is on board with. Now, they might say, well, you don't do that all the time. Yeah, that's true. I'm working on perfection. I'm not there. But I like it when the team says, Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Let's do that. I like that. So I'm working very hard at sharing ideas in small doses with my team here, because if I too many ideas and they just vapor lock, and I can see that. It's like another idea. Um, yeah, so that's it. That's it. And the videos and stuff, I think that serves a purpose. I am not a video, I am not a content creator. So I don't say, okay, I've got to make a video today and it's got to get 10,000 views because that'll equal $35 or whatever it is they pay you. I don't even look at those numbers. They're once in a blue moon, I'll say something like, what did that equal? Once in a blue moon. And I almost don't want to, because I don't want to get hungry for those dollars in the YouTube world. Because what that does is it taints my thought process, and it's like, oh, this will get a bunch of views. And I don't want to do that. I am not after that. If you make something, you make a video, and all of a sudden, hey, I got 10,000 views. What that does to me is like, people are interested in this. You know more about this, and so you need to share it. But it's not I'm not a content creator. I create content, but that content comes from what I am doing in the course of the day. And I like what I'm doing. I'm intrigued by what I'm doing. All of a sudden, I have a lot of good ideas. I'm able to implement them and see them work or flop. But either way, it's a good process, and I really like it. I don't want to do anything else. And I feel like people that want to know what it is that I'm doing, I will share it freely. I will share it freely. Now, I do consulting. Now, that's a different story. That's a totally different story. One of my milk customers here and says, how do you do this? I'll tell them. I'm not going to say that's $100 an hour. Consulting's a different story. When somebody's setting up an operation and they want your attention for the sole purpose of setting up an operation, that's a different story. That's a totally different story. That takes a big chunk of my time, and for me to trade that time, I trade it for dollars, and that's a totally different thing. And somebody's contracting with me for what I know, and they're willing to do that. So that's a different animal. But there are some times, though, when I get a call out of the blue from somebody I don't know and say, hey, I'm going to be doing this, and I was wondering if I could pick your brain and get one of those deals. Then it's like, well, yeah, I can definitely help you with that. But what you need to do is go to the website and schedule an appointment, and we'll set up a time, and we can have an hour on the phone. You can ask me all the questions you want, and I will answer them. There is another way. There's another way, a better way, a way that I think is, to me, I get a better feeling about it. And we set up this thing called the Tribe Plus. So you all are in the tribe. It's basically a Facebook group, the Anyone Can Farm Tribe. But then if you want personal time, every other Wednesday, you've got to be in the Tribe Plus, and it costs. I'm not exactly sure what it costs, to be honest with you. At this point, I have known. Jill handles it. And then on every other Wednesday, you get a notification on your phone that the Tribe Plus meeting will be at 8 o'clock via Zoom. And then you get a Zoom code, and you're in a Zoom meeting. And it's scheduled for 1 hour, but I don't think we ever go 1 hour. It's usually 2 hours, because the questions keep coming, or the comments. We have a good time. We talk about a lot of things. And I learn a lot through that. I really do learn a lot that because when people ask a question that I don't know, or you see, farming is like a mosaic. It's like a puzzle, and you may be doing a process here and a process here, and in between, there's very few pieces that need to be put in there to connect them up. And I am enlightened to that a lot when I'm counseling with people in the Tribe Plus meetings. The consulting meetings is what we're calling them now, because people come with questions. Sometimes they show me diagrams. Sometimes they say, I got this going and I want to solve this. What's the answer? Sometimes I know, sometimes I don't. Sometimes other people in the Zoom meeting know. And we get a lot of stuff hashed out. So it's a really good thing. I wish I had had something like that when I started out, because I could have avoided some of the things that I did that I really shouldn't have done. And it's a good place to pass information. There is so much information, and a lot of it is available online. But if you're new to this, you don't know what you don't know, and figuring that out can be it's sort of like, it's probably a lot like being a mother. You know how to get it started, right? And then you think you know what it's like to have a baby. I don't know what it's like to have a baby. I've never done it, so I don't really know. I know what it looks like. I've caught babies, my own, but I don't know what it's like to have a baby. But it seems like mothers just instinctively learn as they go. But I think there's a lot of question asking and then advice being given from their mothers or grandmothers or other friends and stuff. And so by the time they're done having babies, or they're on their 7th or 8th or 9th baby, they know pretty much everything there is to know about that, right? And I think farming is like that too, because you can look at calendars with cool pictures of farming things happening, but that's just a quick observation that gives you a warm feeling. But then doing it is different. It is different. There is those fun places, those warm, fuzzy places, but doing it is different. All right. So consulting helps quite a bit, I think. And big plug for the show, because the consulting call, because we're going to be doing it tomorrow night. I look forward to it. I really do. I look forward to this meeting too. I really do. Talking about things like this. Secrets, keeping them secrets. All right. So there we are. We've racked up an hour. Let me go through and read what people are saying. See if there's anything I missed. Keith, Dave Duncan's with us. Intentional homesteading is with us. Whey is from cheese and yogurt typically. Figures you would know about that. Just Me is with us, saying good evening. Intentional is saying, one thing I've always respected and appreciated about you. Oh, here it comes. Here's the warm fuzzies coming all over me. Is your encouragement for us to start things that you are doing. Most people would consider that creating competition. I hope I've dispelled that. It really, it's the opposite, isn't it? It's the opposite. If you get a herd share going down in your neck of the woods, and you create a demand in your neck of the woods, and let's say somebody in between us, that would be like, say, 45 minutes in between us, they get one going, and then they get maxed out. Some of their customers may say, well, the only other guy is way up there in Marion. but he's got a waiting list too. Wow, that's cool. That's really good. It means an industry is emerging that I can get to my. I think, and I've told Beth and Tommy this. That's international homesteading. That at 10 cows, milking 10 cows, 2 groups of 5 in the morning, we're going to be putting in probably, and I'm being real easy on it here, probably 5 hours, 5 man hours, 2 team of 2, 2.5 hours milking. And I think the guy that's milking, actually doing we call it the primary, I think he's going to be done in an hour, because you get in a group of 5, takes a half an hour to milk them. Get them out, get the next group in, another half hour. He's done. By then, all that milk is jarred, and then it's just a little bit of cleanup. You're done for the day. When you get to 10 cows, if you push the numbers on that, I might as well do it. Might as well do it. Okay. We can use 3 gallons per cow. Now, at the beginning of their lactation, they're going to be higher. At the end, they're going to be lower. So I go with 3 gallons. All right, 10 cows. And their calving is staggered throughout the 12-month period. All right, so let's go 3 gallons times 10 cows. Per day, that will be 30 gallons per day. Times, now you got to move all this. You got to convert it into dollars. So that means you got to have a method for people to interface with the farm, get the milk, and leave their $10 for that gallon of milk. So that's a trick. That's a trick. Times 10, $10 for a gallon of milk. In some places down where international is, it's easily 12. They've got people in their neighborhood that are more than that. Where I am, 10, and I'm doing okay with that. I think we probably are going to bump at some point, but say 10. So per day, $300 a day. Okay, how many days in a year? Does anybody know? Somebody put it in the comments. Hobby farm? I don't think so. I don't think so. Now that's, there's expenses. All right, there's expenses for sure. But that's a respectable number there. And that is 10 cows. And sometimes you might only have 8 going, but you're still getting your 30 gallons. At 10 cows, sometimes you're going to have 40 gallons. And then all of a sudden you got somebody, one of your regular milk customers, that says, have you got any extra milk? Because I'm making cheese. Yeah. You want it in a 5-gallon pail? There you go. So there's a lot of wiggle room in there, and it's not always wiggle room to the negative. There's wiggle room to the positive. So that's nothing to sneeze at. And I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm looking for cows right now. I feel real good about buying another cow or 2 because I have a waiting list. And my waiting list is not long. Not long. But so long as there's a need that I'm not filling, yeah, I can justify another cow. I can at this point because I have the hay to feed them. All right. So it's actually opposite competition. It's opposite of what you think. And my bad feeling about that was, oh, I didn't even finish the story about the Amish family over here. The dad called me one time and he says, well, my son needs something to do, and he kind of likes what you're doing. He'd like to raise chickens. Is that okay? Again, I say, hey, it's free country. I can't tell you no. And then they put up a barn and they start feeding chickens in the barn. And then they built a butchering facility that they man with all Amish people. And then they went after my customer, Cherry Capital Foods. We swam out of it. They were going to do it cheaper, and I wasn't willing to budge on my price. That was part of the reason why we ditched Cherry Capital, is because they were saying, well, we can get them from the Amish cheaper. And I said, see you later. You get them from the Amish cheaper. See how that works out for you. I was sick of them anyway. So we moved on to the next thing. And there is a term called red water ocean and the blue water ocean. So in the red water ocean, let's see, what's an example of that? Like Main Street and Cadillac. And they have a bicycle shop in town. And you set up another bicycle shop in town on Main Street. That's red water ocean is what that's called. Like the sharks, right? You're not going to make friends doing that, right? But we're out here in the perimeter. This is the blue water, right? There is lots and lots of room. I am not going to saturate this area with raw milk. And I don't want to. Like, I'm not saying to you, I'm telling you, I'm not going here. I'm not going there. That's not my plan. Now, plans change. They do. But the plan right now is 10 cows. Because I don't want, for my family and my lifestyle, I don't want to be a dairy. And just we're a farm and we have a dairy, but we also have a butcher shop, and we also have a store, and we also have a grazing component. We have pastured poultry component. We have a teaching component. We have, because I don't want to get bored with milking. Right now, I love it, but I think that if I was milking 50 cows, I might not love it as much as I do now. But things could change, right? Things change. Don't hold me to it. I'm just scratching the surface of this whole employee thing. Not that we never had employees before, but it was always sort of like I have this feeling like, man, I'm paying those guys more money than we're making here. But now I've told you, it took a long time, but now I look at the numbers closer, and I know that in order to succeed, I got to know my numbers, because if I'm paying more in labor than we're making, like if I have paying a guy $25 an hour to weed a garden, and then we're taking Brussels sprouts to the farmer's market, and we're right next to an Amish guy that's selling them half, we're losing. And if you're losing, you don't keep losing, because then you will just be a loser, right? We don't want losers. Okay. But you never hesitate knowing there is enough business for all of us. Is that a question? No. I drive around and I observe there's a lot of people. And if you look at the amount of food that is flowing through, say like a Myers, it's staggering. And though we don't stand out in front of Myers and try to sell eggs and say, well, our eggs are better. We don't do that. It's just the whole machine is breaking down. It is breaking down before our eyes. That's what we're watching happen. and it's everything from immigration to chemicals going on fields. I said this to you guys before, and maybe somebody will catch this broadcast and they'll say, well, I thought you said nobody ever says that word. Last week, Robert Kennedy put out his briefing of the is it the NHS? What is it, Beth, that he's in charge of now? Robert Kennedy's he's the director of, he's in Trump's cabinet, but he's NIH, I think. And it's very powerful position, extremely powerful position, because the food system has become kind of a cartel. So if you play with the cartel and you allow them to keep doing what they've been doing, there's payback, right? But you go against the cartel, and that could cause you some problems. But this guy is fearless. This guy is totally fearless. And I've told you, you get a 70-year-old guy that wants to do right. That is a lethal machine. And I happen to know a little bit more about that because of the food security work that we did with that film crew that came out here. He is a lethal machine. He's a lethal machine to the food cartel. And so last week when he was briefing NIH or whatever it is, I can't think of it. He used the word glyphosate. In the past, they'd say, well, pesticides. Now they're saying this pesticide. This is bad. This is hurting our children, and it's everywhere. And so he said it. And so now industrial agriculture is facing labor shortage, right? Because deportations are happening big time, and they're going to offer a deal here pretty quick. Like, well, if you go now voluntarily, we will give you a path to return. But if we have to grab you and deport you, you ain't never coming back. So you're going to see just this exodus of people that want to live here and they want to be part of this very special country, but they're being held, their feet are held to the fire. You can't break our laws to come in here. You can't do that. Now we've got an administration that's actually going to do the right thing. And the both of them together are lethal to the machine. Okay. Jensen Family Homestead, can you recommend a milk breed of cattle that are more hardy than Jersey, but not as big as Holstein? More hardy than Jerseys. I've not heard that Jerseys are not hardy. I have two of them, and they're both really good. And I got nothing against Holsteins. There's a lot of conversation on Facebook, especially because there's America and any of these pages, you gotta have to learn to discern some of the things that you hear, right? Discern through it. Even like the Mangalitsa page, the people that run that, I don't even know if they're really operating anymore. They put themselves out there as the experts in Mangalitsa, but they didn't actually have a farm, and they were, and I was kind of goofing on them because they were starting to certify Mangalitsa as pure. And you could send in a picture to them and they'd say, yep, that one's certified, all right. And then people are selling Mangalitsa pigs and they're saying certified. These are certified. So these guys set themselves up as a certifier, and it was all smoke and mirrors. You know, they had a little book that they'd write your name in, sort of like the Lamb's Book of Life. I don't know. And it was kind of weak. And usually the people that bid on it, you looked at them and you're like, you're buying that? I don't know. But it didn't matter to me, because my bread and butter is when pigs leave here and people leave their dollars on the table. That's what I do. And the pigs that we grow out here, we slaughter them in our butcher shop. Their meat and fat goes in the store. People leave money and take it home and eat it. It's a really neat business, because once they eat it, we have more. And they don't produce it, we produce it. So, you know, we are working together. It's a working relationship. Like maybe their husband is an ENT specialist in town. He doesn't really have time for raising pigs. Annie lives in town. So we do raise pigs, and so we work together. But like if I need ENT work, I got to go see him, because nobody here knows that too well. But hopefully if I drink a lot of milk, I won't ever need it. Mine is with us, Mine a Postman. I'm really looking forward. That's one thing I'm looking forward to this summer. I've got a lot of things I'm looking forward to, but one is the Mitten Homestead Conference, because I had a real good fun time there last year. So yeah, to answer your question, Jensen Family Homestead, I've never really seen jerseys as fragile. Ours jerseys are in with, I've got a Holstein Guernsey cross. I have a mutt. I don't know really what she is. And then I have a red Holstein. And Holsteins get a bad rap too, because people say, and this has even been said at my dinner table, well, they don't do good on grass. They don't do good on grass. And I kind of like, sounds to me like you heard that someplace, because you don't have a Holstein, this individual. And if you had one, have you tried it on grass? And the answer was no. So we got a Holstein, one that had an injury. She had when she was given a shot when she was really young, they hit a nerve, and that's because people in them big dairies, they don't get proper training, evidently. But yeah, and she holds her leg up, and so it manifests in her hoof not wearing down. So she's got toes, and then it appears to be sore because she doesn't like to step on it. And but she does really good on grass, and she's one of the best cows that we have. But her holding her foot up all the time, and she's getting older now, and it appears people believe here that she's in pain. I don't know. I don't see pain. I don't hear her. But how do you know when a cow's in pain? But anyway, we're not breeding her back this time, and we're going to let her have her last summer, and then she'll be going through the shop. But I don't mind Holsteins. I would take Holsteins right now if I could find them. What about Guernseys? I love Guernseys. I love them. I think Holstein Guernsey cross is really nice. Okay, David Duncan says milking Devons. I don't know anything about them. I don't know. I think a Devon is one of those mini breeds. Not impressed with mini breeds. I'm not impressed with ponies either. I'm just not impressed with them. We've had a little bit of contact with them, and the way they're sold is, well, they give less milk. Now, if I'm milking cows and I'm doing a herd share, why would I buy a cow that gives less milk? That doesn't make sense. Oh, because they're cute. Yeah, I'm not really into the whole cute thing. So I like Holsteins because they give a lot of milk, and I like Guernseys because they give a lot of milk. Jerseys give a lot of milk. So I like Jerseys, I like Guernseys, I like Holsteins, and that's kind of what I have. I don't mind a mutt. I really don't if they're a good cow. There's been a rash. I'll just put it this way. What you want to be careful of, if somebody's selling a cow, you need to do your homework on that cow. If somebody is going to the sale barn and buying cows and then reselling them, that cow may be in milk, but she might have a problem to where she can't take back. Why do you say that, you may ask? Well, why is she at the sale barn if she's a good cow? Oh, people just take good cows to the sale barns. They don't. They take bad cows to the sale barn. We don't take any cows to the sale barn. We take them to the butcher shop. Because a bad milking cow is a good beef cow. And I've gone through that with you guys before. You might be thinking, well, I heard that milk cows all wound up at Burger King. No, a milk cow that's big could have some fantastic beef, but you don't know until you get in there. You don't know. Big box stores, said Dave, grass-fed is still CAFO raised, just with hay. They're not out in the sunshine or on pasture. Okay. Mina says, I think you are overcoming evil with good. That's the only way. You can't out evil and expect to come out with something good. You can't. You just got to do a better job. My revenge will be my success. Jensen, we've had a Jersey cow before, but when we put her with a bull to get bred, she broke a hip. We've never had any luck with Jersey bottle calves either. Well, usually, you might not like this too much, but usually if something goes wrong, you should be looking at yourself first. Like, don't blame the breed. If you had a cow and her hip got broke because she was being bred, like maybe the bull was way too big for her, way too big. And Jerseys are a smaller breed, but I've seen some massive Jersey bulls, and if she's small, you should have thunked that. You should have thought that through a little bit, because it takes a lot of force to break a hip. Now, maybe it had nothing to do with the size of the bull. Maybe when he was on her, she slipped and fell, and his weight went down on her. I don't know. But that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't be happening. And it's not because, they have weak hips. That's not it. And if you're having problems with bottle calves, didn't have any luck, you say there, I would probably rephrase that sentence saying, when we bottle calved, they died. Okay, you did something wrong. You did something wrong. Or they were just weak or something. I mean, it's a process. And if it resulted in failure, let's back it up a little bit and see where you failed. Now, there are times when it has nothing to do with you, but I don't think there's ever a time when we say that always happens with those cows. That breed of cow is just bad. I don't know about that. I've been doing it long enough where I would have to say I don't think so. Now, there are certain traits in certain cows. Yeah, certain traits. But I don't see a cow that's better from a health standpoint of view of another cow. You know, usually when there's health problems, it's environmental. Usually. Okay, milking Devon might be a good option, but finding some around here might be near impossible. Okay. Devon is the cows George Washington raised, not a mini, but they probably have mini Devons. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, Dave. Shadowing the Desert Stray. Sorry, joined late. You're late. Have you talked about the bird flu nonsense slaughtering flocks? I have. Yeah, it's more of the same stuff. Okay, so they want to get this going. They want to get this whole thing going, and they always do stuff like this. And so a lot of these really big houses, these chicken houses, they don't have a choice because they're invested in the USDA and the USDA is invested in them. And under their contract, if the USDA wants to come and test those birds, they can. So they'll come in and they'll test a handful of birds and they have the mRNA test and they can, yup, we got one. Out of 5 million birds, the first 5 that we tested, one of them's got bird flu. And so then they say to the owners, we're going to have to kill them all. But we'll pay you for them. And the owner's like, how much? And the owner is usually coming out on top. But he doesn't have a choice. And so they slaughter all the birds. And then they say, on this day, at this time, we found this and we had to slaughter 5 million birds. So then they use that story as evidence. We killed 5 million birds, therefore bird flu is real. Oh, because you killed them, it's real. But to the untrained ear, it's like, oh, birds are dying like flies in Michigan, And so what happens? Then there's an egg shortage. Well, then people know that that's coming. They'll invest in an alternative way that flourishes, and then their money grows. So it's crap. But there again, like if you're a homestead, they can't come and test your birds unless you're an idiot and you have a bird that doesn't look good and you call them and have them come check your birds. Yup, you got it. They can't come test your birds. They can say they can, and they may show up, but you need to tell them, no, thank you. Run along, please. So, it is a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of nonsense. And anybody that's lived through the Wu flu should be saying, something looks familiar here, Only thing is with animals, they're just going to kill them off. What they want to do, what their goal is to get the mRNA vaccine into those flocks and then into the eggs and then into you. That's their goal. And so they're going to keep trying. I don't know. They're up against Kennedy though now. So I'm not sure if they're going to be as successful as they were with the Wu flu. Like they did not pull that off. They got quite a ways down the road, but not as far as they wanted to, because Americans are very hard people to govern. All right. Jensen says, I've raised 15 or 16 okay, I'm going to get beat up on this one. Over the last 7 years, Holstein, Angus, Jersey, and a couple crosses. And only the ones we've had die here have been Jersey. Okay, I guess you got data. I guess if I were you, I would stay away from jerseys too. I guess I would. If I had that data, I guess I would. I haven't had that happen. And, there might be, I don't know, were they from different farms or were they from the same farm? Were they, did they get their colostrum at the farm or were they pulled before the colostrum? Okay. I don't know. I can't really dispute that, but I guess I can see your point. Yeah, I would stay away from them then if I was you. All right. Everyone needs to know all God's birds get the flu and are identical internally. Yeah. And they hang a name on something and they make it seem as though this is something new. There is nothing new under the sun, but they have to make it seem new so there's fear and it's easier to sell it. If somebody was to ask me, I'd say the Department of Agriculture in Michigan needs to be whittled down to about 5 people. And your only job is to gather data and forward it to the governor of food supply. But keep your fat noses out of our business. Huh. Yeah, Jensen, I guess if I really thought about it, I would say to you, well, let's start looking for common denominators. If what's happening here with these jerseys that is a common denominator? And then the first question I would ask is, are they from the same farm? And if they are, yeah, I think I'd be looking there first. I think so. 3 different farms, she says. You need to stay away from jerseys. You might just be genetically disposed to not be able to take care of jerseys. Or maybe you're possessed. Yeah, you're possessed. Just stay away from jerseys. Okay. I rest my case. You got me. Jerseys, bad. I like mine and I'm keeping them. But I think you should stay away from them. All right. All right. That's going to be it. I got to get something to eat and get on to the next thing. Appreciate everybody coming by. Remember, anyone can farm, especially if you're certified.